Are we live? I think we are live.
We are live.
Hey guys, and welcome to Hashing Out Hermione. I'm Tetris. I'm here with the creator and some cast members that you probably recognize right away from our Hermione web series. So what's really exciting is that it's been a week now. Like I can actually remember because Eliana is a friend of mine. I can remember when she had this idea for this show, and now it's been out for a week. Like, it seems like that was yesterday.
Isn't that, you know what's funny? It was last January when I had the idea, though. So it's been like a year.
It's been like exactly a year, but you know, in lives we're all busy and things happen, and it just seems like overnight. But they say nothing ever happens overnight. Nothing happens overnight. So lots of hard work. These guys might have been not here as long, but it seems like I've known you guys as it's like we're legit family hanging out. Hashing out Hermione. So first, I got to start right away by saying, if you guys are out there and you have questions, please comment on YouTube, comment on Twitter. We have access to everything, and we'll be able to get some of your live questions as well. Yeah. But I want to start by talking to you, and you know, we've had some of these questions before. But I want to see, where did you start with your love for
Harry Potter? So it's actually my little brother's fault that I'm a Harry Potter fan. Yeah, because I wasn't into fantasy and sci-fi stuff growing up. I never liked it. But Harry Potter's different. But I never was into. I was never like into that kind of stuff. I was always like, I like real stuff. And then
you know, this is fake. I like the real stuff. Eliana, all movies are kind of fake.
Listen, I like Space Jam and like Sesame Street. I was like, you can't play basketball with cartoons. I was like, no, it's not real.
But your little brother.
But my little brother. So he wanted to read Prisoner of Azkaban. And if you remember back in the early 2000s when the books were like really popular, most black parents thought their kids were going to be devil worshippers.
Oh, witchcraft. You know about that too, actually.
It was like a really big concern about like witchcraft. It's like devil worshiping.
There was actually a point I was in church where my pastor gave a sermon about don't let your kids read Harry Potter.
Oh, it was like a huge. It was like a massive. All of us, we all went through it. Like none of my cousins. It was a big deal because, like, God forbid you worship the devil via Harry Potter.
Obviously.
Like witchcraft. No.
Not here for.
And he wanted to read it. He was in 6th grade, and it was like being passed around his classroom. And I was in college, and I was like, well, I'll read it. I'll make sure it's okay. My mom was like, I don't want to stop him from reading, but I don't have time to like make sure he's not going to be a witchcraft person.
Right. And
I was like, it's fine, I'll read it, no big deal. I literally read it like in less than a day.
And you did start with I
started at Prisoner of Azkaban.
You started at Prisoner and then worked your way back.
Exactly.
Your brother wanted to start at Prisoner of Azkaban.
Well, because he had seen the first 2 movies.
Oh, okay.
Also, the movies had even already been
The first 2 movies were out.
They were so quick with those. Yeah.
They were really fast, and they were like 1 year after another. Yeah. So the first 2 movies were out, and we had those DVDs at the house. And again, I watched those because I was like, oh, they're kids' movies for my younger siblings. It's cute. I read that book, and I was like blown away.
And have you guys also been Harry Potter fans for most of the?
Oh yeah, I can remember standing in line to get the first book.
To get the first book?
Oh, yeah, I was also a first booker before the
movie.
In line?
Yeah. Not in line for the first one, but I did get the first one.
Over at the library, I was like first 10, 15 people to get books.
Wow.
And now we're all here with Harry Potter.
What about you, Ashley?
That was the first book I read actually, and it took me. I was in 2nd grade when I read that first book, and it took me forever. I think it took the entire year of 2nd grade. And I was frustrated, and at one point I threw it down, and just cried, and then I finished it, and I was like, this is the best book I've ever read.
That's amazing. Well, it's good to have a little bit of that Harry Potter background. You guys out there, if you have an interesting story or tidbit about when you became a part of the Harry Potter universe, please do come in and let us know. Now, tell me why you decided that you wanted to bring this to life.
Oh my goodness.
There's softballs here, right?
Whoa. Why? For 2 reasons. A, because I'm a fan. So like, I'm a fan, but I'm also a director. Like, this is what I want to do for my career. And so, fan fiction actually, because this is essentially fan fiction, but fan fiction really inspired me because like I read the books all the time, and I had gotten to a point that I was like, I had just like literally closed the book, and I was like, I want to read more, but I don't want to just restart the book right at this moment because I just finished it. And my sister was like, oh, read some fan fiction. So I started reading fan fiction. It was so good. And there were a few stories that I was like, man, I want to make a movie of that. so good. And then last January, like I said, I was in Utah and I just had this moment. And also, too, I actually, like, hate the epilogue. I'm one of those people that I hated the epilogue. I didn't like how Hermione ended up. Hermione's always been the star of the books to me, not Harry. And it was in the epilogue, I was like, oh, because her part was so small, and I was like, so what's she doing? Like, she just at the train dropping off the kids. Like, where's she going
after her? That's a very interesting point.
And I was like, but Hermione, like, is the reason we all got here.
Wow.
And I just felt like she had done so much, and then she was in the epilogue, and it was just like, okay, bye, kids. And I was like,
wow. I mean, that's very powerful. And now, apparently, she's in her quarter-life crisis.
And now she's in her quarter-life crisis.
Now, has anybody had their quarter-life crisis?
Oof.
I still got 1 year.
You got 1 year and you're waiting on it? Okay. What about you over there, my friend?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I moved to LA.
And
oh, you're kidding. Just like Hermione.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
So it all works out for you guys to be able to. So it's very realistic when you guys are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Really can relate to that.
You go through a quarter-life crisis and you're like, I gotta move to LA.
Now that's a very interesting. That's a very interesting question I actually want to ask. What made you decide that this story, her story, should take place in Los Angeles?
Okay, I have to tell you, part of it was most of it was finances, obviously. And so I was like, well, where am I going to be living? Because that's where the show's going to be set.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like thinking about moving to LA, and I thought about, because I'm from Chicago and I was in Chicago at the time, I actually thought about staying in Chicago and setting it there. But I knew that I wanted her to move in with Parvati, and I just was like, I couldn't see the story that I wanted in Chicago because the identity of the city is different. I wanted her to be kind of in a place that was so different from London. Whereas I've been to London and it's different, but Chicago and London feel kind of similar to me in that like they feel like old cities. LA feels like a new, like wider place. And I wanted her to, so I felt like LA kind of mirrored who I wanted her to be. It's just like you can breathe and it's a place where you like, reinvent yourself. Right, like LA is where you go to be a new person.
Be a new person.
And so I was like, that's where they have to be. Oh, I think there's a question.
Yeah, we have our producer over here with us now.
Yeah.
What drew Ashley and Nick to want to be a part of this project?
Ooh. So Ashley plays Hermione.
Yeah.
Obviously, Nick is our Draco. You can't tell because his hair looks darker because it's a hat on.
Hey, it's actually raining in Los Angeles right now, so he has to have his beanie.
It's crazy.
It's pretty crazy. But yeah, so why'd you guys want to be a part of this?
First things first. Well, like I said, it was the first book I ever read, and I did identify with Hermione. I saw myself in her until I saw the movies, and then I still saw myself in her.
Yeah.
Of course. But I would say the number one thing that I saw this project, I was like, I have to audition for it, was sorry. I know you're not supposed to pause in these things.
Dramatic pause.
Yeah, but now we're all hanging on to your every word.
Now I better say
Actress,
something.
you have to
I
get
have to
it.
say something really important.
You do.
I always did just identify with Hermione. And it was just, this is a girl and this is a story I grew up with, and then it was kind of everything to me. And also, I really love how they took this. When I finished the books, I kind of felt the same way. I was like, okay, so she moved on just to be the perfect human being. Of course she was.
Yeah.
And then I realized that, especially if you're right, she's not perfect, and she doesn't have to be. And and it gives it a lot more. Gives a lot more humanity to her.
Oh, good.
Which I love and I appreciate, and I kind of. It's an honor just to be able to explore that.
I think that was a great answer. And before we move on to you really quickly, I would like you to give them just a small tidbit of what you told me about her audition.
That I loved it?
Yes. Yeah,
because we had auditioned. We actually did see a lot of girls from Hermione, which was really nice. And some of them were like so lovely, but there were a few that I think we thought about casting, but you need that magical moment. You know what I mean? And so Ashley was one of the very last people that we saw. I think she might have been the second to last person. Maybe it was like the last 2 or 3 people. And she came in the room, and the whole table, we all were like kind of looking at each other like, I don't know. Because at some point, I don't want to get my hopes up anymore. Because you'll see girls and you're like, oh, maybe, but then it's they're not. And you're like, oh, man. So she walked in and she just had this cute little outfit, her little socks and her boots and her little skirt. And I was like, and her hair, and I was like, I don't know. She's what I've been picturing, but what if she's awful? What if she can't act? What if her accent sucks?
And boom.
And she was just so perfect, and she she did Hermione with so much nuance. Like, it wasn't too heavy, but she took it seriously. Like, and I could see the range, and I was like, she's talented too. Oh my god!
Now before
What are
we
you talking about?
now before we dive into Draco, we got a question. I do want to ask, how did you feel about auditioning for the project?
Oh man, I was so nervous. I really wanted this role. Draco is such a great literary character. I mean, he's like the classic anti-hero. You know, you see this very strong aspect of him throughout the books, and then towards the end, like the last 3 books or so, it kind of hints at this other side. Yeah, 2 books, I guess. Yeah, fair. Oh yeah, the Potter Stinks badges.
Yeah, he was on the Inquisitorial Squad. Remember?
Gotta love when Potter talk just
right. Wormhole. Right?
But no, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, he's such a complicated and interesting character. I mean, and to be able to play him and to have like so much to play with through the books and the movie.
He's definitely my favorite character. And then also a question from those guys out there: what made you want to bring Draco onto the story?
It's actually the same reason for him. Like, I never liked Draco in the books. It's so funny because you liked Draco.
I love Draco.
That's like, I don't know anybody who
I saw that sweater.
Always.
Like, I don't know anybody who loves Draco because he was so mean. Like, Draco legit was like, he said to Harry one time something. He was like, "Oh, why don't you ask your mom and dad?" Oh, that's right, you can't because they're dead.
Well, that was a little deep. I'm looking for the moments like hand-me-down road. Must be a reason. Sorry, I'm not an actor, so that's a little bad.
So he would just be so mean, and I was like, this kid is deranged. But then once we got to Half-Blood Prince, and you started to see this struggle, and then especially in Deathly Hallows, and you just saw like how much he was suffering, and I just was like, that is fascinating, because he was so strongly on one side of the issue. And then once he was like really confronted with it and discovered that like he wasn't who he thought he was, I was like, yo, that is interesting.
We've been waiting all these books for, right? Like,
I was like, and then it just got dropped. And like, fair enough, it wasn't his book, but I was just like, so him and his parents just like went home and like, what did they talk about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, what were the conversations like? And I just wondered like, how is he going to develop? And you never find out. So I'm like, well, if I'm going to do Hermione's story, I have to also ask myself what happened to Draco, because I just find him fascinating.
I think that's fascinating that you brought him in. Now, we do have to dive into the episode, because obviously everybody's watched it, and that's why we're here. We got a question from out there that says, what kind of magic tricks do you guys have planned? They liked the mustache magic. That was cute.
The mustache was cute. So in our writer's room, and by the way, we have 2 amazing writers that work on the show, Jessica and Olive, are fantastic. But one thing that we talk a lot about is like how to balance the magic with our budget, because it's very small.
Donate.
Donate. So we talk a lot about how do we balance the magic, and then also we talk about how do we make magic an everyday part of their lives, right? Because at this point, like, they're not in a big battle, so they're not practical magic. So they're not like, it's not a spell heavy type of show, but it's like, what's the everyday magic that they do? How do these young people interact with magic? And again, balancing that with our budget, because sometimes we'll have ideas and then we have to make an adjustment.
Again, donate.
Because again, donate. And the effects and all that stuff, you know. So we try to do a lot of practical magic things that we can do in camera, on set. In episode 2, I don't want to like give too much away, but in episode 2, there's like a date that happens in the episode, not a hangout that happens in the episode, and they have like, oh, it's in the trailer, the no mag meals, you know, and so that's like, again, just everyday magic, and that was really fun.
And the one thing I think that is cool is just how, even with set decoration and little things too, it really brings you to the magic. Like even having a cauldron, I remember on the stove, that's just like, okay, you don't normally see that in day-to-day life. So that's a neat little way to incorporate.
Exactly.
Also, we have a comment that seems from Jordan. She says she doesn't have a question right now, but she wanted to say that she really enjoyed the first episode, and she's excited to see what you guys
think. Oh, Jordan, thank you so much. That's so nice. Thank you, Jordan.
I have the actors right here. I want to ask you guys, how did you feel watching episode 2?
Oh, yeah.
Loved it. I mean, I had to agree with the comment before, you know, because I was lucky enough that I just kind of got to see the episode in you know, the finished form.
Right.
So I was really an audience member through and through, and to be able to kind of discover these moments and like discover these new characters that I know at the same time for it was really refreshing. It was really invigorating to kind of take on and kind of step in and make sure that I
How did you like your? Because I will say there's actually been a lot of comments. Like people love that Malfoy scene. Like the head, like people have like commented on it. When you watch the scene, like how did you like Draco in the episode?
loved it. I thought, well, I mean, of course, you know, I'm gonna be a little biased here, but no, I wanted to like step in and like make sure that I was carrying weight because like everybody else was so tuned in on set. Everybody was really.
We just
like,
had that one moment.
Yeah, and I was like,
You
okay,
killed
I've
it,
got
by
that
the way.
one shot. I've got to
To be
make sure
honest,
it
you
counts.
killed it.
And how'd you feel watching the episode back?
I just in general just have a hard time watching myself. But like I said, I watched it a couple times.
I can't watch myself. I've only seen
Watch
it
it a
4
couple
times.
times. I hope you guys don't have a hard time watching it.
About the 300 times, it's a little easier.
Yeah, you know. But no, I watched like maybe like one, 2 times, and it was really enjoyable. It's like really fun and fresh. And you said it the other day, like we're not trying to out J.K. Rowling.
Like it's not. Yeah, we're not
possible.
doing that. It's its own thing.
But like it's such a fun take on honest people like living, you know, just fun young lives. Like I was just like, ooh.
I was just like, ew. We have another question from out there. This is interesting. Is Malfoy going to have a protagonist rivalry and or a love interest?
Okay, so that's okay. So
Okay, all right.
Okay. The first part of the question, is he going to have a protagonist rivalry? I would actually say that Malfoy's biggest protagonist at this, or like his biggest rival at this point, is himself. And also it's Hermione's show. But so the person that Malfoy is battling the hardest is himself. You know what I mean? And I think that is a fair assessment of a few years after this part. Like, how does he reconcile who he was? How does he? And even like it's interesting because him and Hermione haven't really seen each other since Hogwarts, like since that time. And so maybe now he's a new person, but when he gets confronted with somebody from his past, does he apologize? Like, what's too much? What's too little? How does he move on with his life but still make amends for the pain he caused? So that's his biggest rival, is himself and his history. As far as a love interest, I would say maybe, perhaps. I think that we hope that there's love for everybody. I would say maybe.
Hope that there's love for everybody. But we actually already have another question.
Ooh.
What are some sneak peeks that you know the viewers can look forward to?
Oh my goodness. You know, okay. I think the easiest way to like answer that question without, because I don't want to give you guys any spoilers. I want you watching every single episode because you should, because they're amazing. So I'm gonna say you can look forward to Hermione. We never get to see a lot of her family. And that's something that we're gonna really, really dive into, what happened with her parents, what's that relationship like, the rest of her family. You know, you didn't get to meet her in this episode, but you're gonna meet her cousin Laquita in the next episode. And Laquita is fantastic.
Laquita.
We all love Laquita.
And then also, what you're talking about, you don't want to give out spoilers. What I would be interested in knowing is how much of Hermione's story, her arc here, is already written in your head. Do you know exactly where this entire series is going?
Yes.
That would be a definitive yes.
Yes. But that is because me, Jessica, and Olive spent a lot of time mapping out this show, and we've done, and it was like we all love Hermione, and so sometimes we're like, oh, I don't want her to go through that, but it's like, yeah, but you know what? Throw her in that fire.
Throw her in that fire.
Throw her in that fire. You know, because like, how's she gonna become this amazing woman? So we know what happens. I think that we do try to do a good job of letting the story sort of dictate itself, and we just shape it. You know what I mean? But we know where it's going. We know where it's going. It's gonna be really good.
So now that it's online and you guys have gotten to see feedback, how's it been to see the success and that it's being, you know, posted on blogs and retweeted and thousands of views? So first of all, congratulations. Thank you guys.
Oh,
and
thank you guys.
congratulations to everyone.
Listen, if you're watching the live stream now, whether you're going to watch it later, if you watch the episode, Sorry. I get distracted when they start showing us questions.
That's my
and comments.
job, girl.
I know.
I'm here for that.
I can't. Guys, I'm always trying to direct. I'm so sorry. I have to just like sit back. To be honest, I feel like the fact that this happened, the fact that we're here and like the episode is out, and I see people, because I'm such a huge Harry Potter fan. Like first and foremost, I am a massive fan of Harry Potter, and so I wanted fans to like the show. Like I think you shouldn't want people to like your work, but I wanted Harry Potter fans to like it because I wanted them to feel like, yes, this is us, like this is our story. And so people are like leaving comments and they're just like, oh my God, it's so exciting. And I think that what's been really fun is like people embracing Ashley, that we've got this really diverse cast and people loving Tae-Jun, who is one of my favorite people on earth. And he's gotten so much love and I'm so excited because he's so cool. But to be honest, like sometimes I just can't sleep because I'm just like, wow, people love my show.
Well, and that's amazing. And then I want to also say that this ties in perfectly. That someone from Germany wanted to say hi and that they love the show.
Hi, someone from Germany. Oh, do that again. Awesome.
Oh, look at him. Just over here, knowing right on top of it. Now, we do need help from you guys as well. So if you're in Germany or LA or wherever you are watching, we do need your help and donation. So tell them a little bit more about how they can help.
So you can donate to the show at www.hermioneseries.com. Should I say like how much we need per episode? Okay, so our budget is really small, but we spend about $1,000 per episode, and that's for food, equipment, locations. We have we have 2 episodes for you. We want to get back up shooting really soon. Like episode 3 is going to be tremendously good. We're ready to shoot it, and we are looking to secure the funds for that episode. So we've gotten some donations from some of you guys, and every time I see an email come in about a donation, I get so excited. I text my mom. I get really excited because I feel like it gets to be a community effort, and we're all in this fan community. Or even if you're just into it because you like to see either independent filmmakers or you like to see female filmmakers such as myself. We got female writers, female producer. You got a Black Hermione. We got a lot of stuff going on. So whatever your reasons for being with us, I think just supporting us. Help us get this. Look, my thing is, let's just make another episode. You don't have to commit to all 10. Help us make a 3rd episode.
Yeah, and I mean, the first episode, as you can see, guys, is online, and I'm glad you guys have enjoyed it. The second one's in the bucket, and we definitely so be looking for that. And again, we're gonna get that 3rd one off the ground. We just all need your help so that Ashley, Nick, Eliana, and all of us here can keep making amazing web series for you. And we will be announcing the release date for episode 2. This week.
Yep. I guess on the website, on Twitter, on our social media, and on our website. So make sure you
tell them where to follow us.
Yes. So we're actually Hermione Series for everything. On Twitter, at Hermione Series, Instagram, Hermione Series. Tumblr is HermioneSeries.tumblr.com. Speaking of Tumblr, because sometimes I Google the show, because why not?
She sometimes watches it.
But I did a Google search yesterday, and there was a Tumblr post. And again, people sharing it without us, just putting it on there, and it was reblogged 217 times, and people just and the girl who posted it was just saying how much she loved seeing it, and she felt a part of the Harry Potter world at that point. People are loving you, by the way, but keep it cool.
Don't be leaving us.
Don't be Ashley's such a hard worker, though. She's the perfect person to just come. She just does whatever we ask her to. But anyway, so it's we're Hermione Series, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook. The website is HermioneSeries.com. You can find us in all those places.
Right, thank you. And I do want to, hold on, before we get out of here, are you going to add more means to donate? Maybe PayPal?
Yes. So right now, the donation page, you can donate on the website. We're going to be doing a PayPal donation page. And then we're thinking about doing a Patreon, which is an ongoing contribution, and you'll get exclusive things monthly or whatever. That we're looking into that. I think is an option. But we're going to make every possible avenue for you to support the show.
Yes.
Do you have any ideas?
If you know a way that you want to give us money that we haven't offered
let
to
us know, and we will make that available to you.
So, and check, of course, all the social media. I'm sure all that information will be on there on how you can donate. So look on Twitter, Facebook, the website, all of that. we do want to thank you guys for watching Hashing Out Hermione today. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your overwhelming support of this show. It's such a beautiful baby, and it's amazing to watch it grow. My name is Tetris. This is the creator, Eliana. You've been with Nick and Ashley as well. And we'll see you guys after episode 2 for another episode
of Hashing Out Hermione. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Now this is the awkward part where I get closer to you as I turn it off.